Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let me just make sure I've got everything set up right. Hello, yes, it's another Sunday, and it's time for another live stream. Now, things don't feel right tonight. I don't know why. I've not got one of my monitors set up because I've had to move stuff around, and I haven't got my chat here. So tonight, my chat is going to be here. Good evening, Shake. Good evening, Failsafe. I saw you there, mate. How are you doing? Good evening, Peppermint. Peppermint, I might want a favour. Can I borrow your module from you if you're not using it? Are you using that thing module, that TBS one? Good evening, Expander. Thomas McCrudden. Hello, everyone. Now, what a week it's been. It really has been quite an interesting week because there was this thing to talk about, the amazing Boxer, which, as I've said in my video, is the radio that I have dreamed about pretty much for the last 12 months, and I want to talk about that a little bit more. We're going to talk a bit about this thing because I didn't mention this thing in my review, and I didn't mention it in my review for a reason, and I actually have a video coming on this both probably midweek, but we'll talk about it a little bit tonight. I have had a delivery of something related to HDzero. I've also had a Whoop-Light VTX from Walksnail, which is broken already. Not sure it's their fault. Not sure it's not, but I'm not sure it is their fault. And we'll talk about anything else along the way as well. Now, as always, guys, if you have any questions, please do put it in the chat. As I've said, I'm going to be looking this way at the chat tonight simply because I haven't got that other monitor set up. I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently for the next couple of days until I get myself sorted properly. Now, this week, the big one release was this. And for those who don't know what this is, let me just go to the overhead. There it is. Ooh, I'm zoomed in a little bit much. Let's come out a little bit, shall we? There we go. We obviously had the release of the Boxer. Now, if you don't know what the Boxer is, it's a new radio from RadioMaster, which pretty much ticks every box I've ever asked for in a radio. Now, I was talking on this channel for months about having a radio like this, which is the Mambo, and I like this radio a lot. So much so, I just spent 60 quid on upgrading the gimbals on this radio. It's now got the Pro gimbals, and it's really nice with the Pro gimbals. I'm not sure there's a point on these getting the CNC gimbals because the Pros are so nice. And whilst I've always thought that this radio is good, it's always had some limitations. And the biggest limitation for me is the fact that it's running on Tracer, not Crossfire. I would have loved this radio to death if this was based on Crossfire, because then I could have put in an ELRS module, and then that one radio covers everything I do. Unfortunately with this, the big limitation is because it's got Tracer, I'm having to carry two modules with me because I jump between Crossfire and an ELRS, and it just catches me out. It really does. And there was a couple of other things that really didn't tick every box, but I loved the form factor. And whilst I was talking about like modifying the DJI radio with larger gimbals and all of this, there were some people in the background chuckling away to themselves who knew this thing was coming. And I genuinely didn't know a lot about it until about 2 weeks before launch. And someone just gave me a name, and then I went and harassed some people at RadioMaster and went, I hear you might have something coming that I might be in love with. And then I got told. And I have to say, it's everything I ever wanted in a radio. It literally is. There's a couple of little things that I think could be better. but they're minor. But I do know that there was a bunch of people in the background taking great pleasure in me talking about what I'd want, knowing that this was around the corner. And you can shut it, Jay, as well, because you're one of them. I can see you there, you sod. If you don't know what he is one of the main devs at the Express LRS team, and those boys knew all about this radio. They really did. And I have to say, it's 99%. It really is 99% of everything I wanted. Express LRS built in. I can now put my Crossfire module in the back permanently, and that's it. Done. HTX, 1000 hertz if you want it. AGO1s, upgradable to AGO1 CNCs. Let me just look around. Where are they? I have a set already. I've lost the set already. Where are they gone? You can't miss them. They've got a big box. Surprisingly big box for a set of gimbals. Ah, there they are. I have a set of AGO1s to go in them, and I'll be doing that very, very soon. And yeah, it's fantastic. Now, it is a pre-order. I know people complain about pre-orders. I've seen a few comments on it. It will be available to you really soon. Look, RadioMaster have just whacked it into production. China's running a little bit slower at the moment. Nothing to do with RadioMaster. It's just generally things coming out of China. But for all of the people who've called me a RadioMaster shill, I am not a RadioMaster shill. I am a shill of this radio. It would have had to have been really bad for me not to have liked it, if I'm honest. But I'll be honest overall and say they've got pretty much everything right. I did see a comment just now. Ken Leper, what sets the Boxer apart from the TX12? Right, that's really easy. 1 watt Express LRS, size and quality of the radio. The plastics are much better on this than they are the TX12. The TX12 is a budget radio. Let's not pretend otherwise. Is mine up there? Yeah, it is. 1 second. Look, the plastics on the TX12, let's go to the overhead, right? The plastics on the TX12 are quite cheap, okay? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but they are. Let's not pretend they're not. This radio has a much more solid feel to it. 1 second, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, apologies. I've been sneezing for the last few days. The TX12 is a nice handset, but it is much smaller. You know, it really is much smaller in size. It's got the AGO1 mini gimbals. I prefer a larger gimbal than a mini one. The ergonomics are nicer. And it's a much higher quality radio overall. And I don't mean this is bad, but it is a cheap, small radio. This is ideal for people with smaller hands. This is the real midpoint on this. And it's just fantastic. It really, really is. And I really can't say any more than that. It's great. Now, I wish they could do a small colour screen. It's interesting. I've seen a lot of comments on the screens. I don't care about colour. I really don't. And actually, if anything, black and white's better for using out and about because you can see it better. You certainly don't want touchscreen on a screen of this size. I'll be honest, I don't really find the touchscreen that good on the TX16 as a use. I don't mean the radio. I just mean, I know HTX is pushing to improve how well touch support is, but I'm not convinced you really need it. You're just so used to the buttons and it works. Now, obviously, there has been a lot of hoo-ha, and the people, let me just move those gimbals, the people at the TBS side of things will be jumping up and down and going, they copied the radio. Let's go to the overhead again. They copied the Mambo. Well, actually, they didn't, because the Mambo is the first radio of this form factor. It really isn't. And whilst the Mambo does a lot well, it really isn't the first. And what I mean by that is If you see this, and this is a painless 360 review of the Turnigy TGY i6S from 6 years ago. This is a painless 360 review of this radio, and let's put that full screen. This is the beginnings of that form factor. You know, this is where these radios started. It isn't the Mambo. So anyone wants to say the Mambo is a copy, the Mambo really isn't the Boxer is a copy of the Mambo. It really isn't. This is where this size form factor started back then. And there'll be other radios out there as well. So it's easy to turn around and say that it's a copy of the Mambo. The reality is, though, it's just a radio of this form factor. Let me just zoom a little bit more. There we go. It just is a radio of this size and form factor. Overall, I think they've taken a lot of what the Mambo did well and put it into the Boxer. You know, look, if you're going to have a radio like this, and I'll be talking about this on the video in the week, you know, if it's going to have a screen at the bottom, the gimbals are going to be in the middle, right? And the switches are going to be at the top. That's not really copying another radio. You're going to have to put your function buttons down the bottom here because that's really what you're going to have to do. The power button really can only go in the middle. And I suppose the only real thing you could say they have copied or at least replicated is the top corner buttons. But other than that, I don't really see the this constant talk of, you know, it's a copy or clone. Now, I will say that the Mambo is really nice with these new gimbals. Obviously, Pyrodrone have got their CNC gimbals come in. I'm not convinced yet anyone needs them. The more time I've put on these gimbals over the last week or so, I think the Pro gimbals and the V2s are fantastic. These are solid. These are really solid. I don't feel on this radio that there's any need for CNC. I really don't. If I ordered the Boxer in EU, listen before talk. Now, as I understand it, the versions of Express ELRS are limited by the firmware, not the hardware in the radio. Perhaps Wes can confirm that if he's around, or one of the Express ELRS guys. My understanding is it's all based on firmware. How much does the new Love cost? This radio with the Express ELRS module, 1 watt, the case and the silicon cover is $130. Will it accept the LED rings, Mike? I don't know, but there are places for the LEDs on the PCB. Can the game lure work on the TX16S? I haven't tried it. I'm guessing it can. On the product site, right, okay. But it is, look, I have to say it's lovely. Now, obviously, there's always a lot of people saying, you're only going to say it's good because RadioMaster sent it to me. This radio would have been bought, sent, whichever way. The irony was, RadioMaster knew I would love this radio. They really did know I would love this radio. And genuinely, it's the perfect balance. Yeah, it just has what I need. So hopefully I'll be doing the upgrade this week. I've done a little bit of flying on it. I'm going to get the upgrade on the HDzero ones done in the next week, and then she's going to be my permanent usage. That's it. I'm now at the stage of thinking about selling the Mambo. I really don't see a reason to keep it now. It's a great handset, but yeah, I've held on to it, but I just don't really see a reason to now. I haven't fully decided what to do. It's been such a good radio, this. It really has, but I think it's probably time to let the Mambo go, and this will be it. Yeah, someone said about an internal antenna. Yeah, and that's going to be an easy mod. A really easy mod. 4 screws, you're inside this radio. I'm probably going to do a slight mod. I'm going to put one of the RadioMaster buttons on the back as an arming button. So I'm going to probably like put it here or something in there. I'm going to put a button on the back of the case rather than that top corner one. But other than that, yeah, it really is a great radio. It doesn't have drinks holders, someone said. And it's funny, you know, I know a lot of people have gone, oh, everyone's only said good things because RadioMaster sent it to them. The reality is, everyone likes this radio, including JB. I did see JB's video on it as well, and I think he's beginning to think, you know what? This would probably do everything I need. Be interesting to see if there's going to be more sort of metal options in the future like they've done on the TX16, you know, some more premium high-end options. If JB likes it that much, I guess you might see a JB edition. A MADS edition would look like HDzero, the LED rings, and I think carbon fiber look could be really nice. But the plastics are good on it. So, yeah, really no complaints. No complaints at all. I do just wish there were 3-position switches on the outside. That's about my only real big change. And the corner buttons are okay, but they're a little bit scrapey. They're not perfect. You can do colored gimbals too. What color? I like black, you see. But I do wonder what it would be like with the blues. I do find the RadioMaster gimbal colors quite bright. I can't remember what they're like. RadioMaster.com. Yeah, I think in my head, I'd like a carbon fiber, maybe a carbon fiber front page. Where's the AGO ones? The AGO ones. Let me search AG01. I do think some of the colors are quite bright. I'd like a bit of a darker blue. I think the blue is very blue. I'd like a more royal blue, if you know what I mean. A darker blue. I think the purple is nice, but it's a bit much, I think, on the black. I'd like a more subtle color change to it. Yeah, you could swap the switches positions around. I would just like to have all 3 positions. I would just like to have all 3 positions. Yeah, I do think, like, looking at the RadioMasters, I think that blue is a bit blue for me. I'd like a more darker navy-ish blue. I think that would be nicer. But, yeah, look, they're doing some nice things. I think the green is quite green. The red is very red. The purple is like purple. I think you need a lot of color to offset this coloring. I think you need a lot more color to offset this coloring than the black. So I think it's subtle with the gimbals, but LED rings. Is it RadioMaster who sell the LED rings, or are they an aftermarket? I can't remember. LED. Hi, Dave. How are you? I got a parcel ready to go to you tomorrow. RadioMaster have got them there. Like $14.99. Yeah, they look good. I'm going to have to probably consider getting them. I've got no... Oh, why is there no image of me? Hey, there we go. Sorted. Didn't have NVIDIA turned on. Yeah, that's very nice. Very, very nice. Anyone got them in the UK? I wonder if I can get them before the end of the week. Can I get these before the end of the week in the UK? Anyone got them? There's a lot of stuff out of stock at the moment. There's a lot of stuff out of stock. Oh, they're in stock with Flying Tech. Shock, they're out of stock with Unmanned. Why is everything always out of stock with Unmanned? But they're in stock in Flying Tech. I do need a few bits and pieces. I wonder if I get it before Christmas if I order. That will be nice. Cool, I could be getting them. I believe they fit. Mike Bigman, I have so much gear to sell. Yeah, so do I. So do I now. And again, the Mambo is probably going to be one of them. She's a little bit knocked up. It does look very similar to the Mambo, Dave. The gimbals are in a box for you, my friend. Royal fail, yeah. But yeah, I think it's been a great radio, but you know, this is it. And again, you're going to see many mods. Internal antenna. Hobby RC has them. That'll be handy because I need to order from Hobby RC. I'm trying to get lipos. I don't know if anyone else has noticed. Huge shortage of lipo batteries. Getting lipos is just impossible. I've been after batteries for planes, not quads. And I just can't get anything in size. I just can't get anything in size. But yeah, overall, I'm blown away. I think internal antenna will be very nice. To be honest, be tempted just to mount that T1 inside at the top of the shell. It won't be hard. Won't be difficult. Definitely be interesting. It's just trying to get batteries is just impossible at the moment. And then, look, you have this bigger battery, which comes with it as well. For those who hadn't seen, I've got the 6,200 milliamp hour in here, which is just fantastic. It just has all of the power you need to power the radio for like 20 hours. And I missed this in my review. JB talked about this, but you can have that cable come out of there. And then that allows you to plug that into one of the RadioMaster modules, such as the Ranger. So if you did want more output, if you really wanted more output, you could go with the 2-watt Ranger on the back and then power that as well from there if you wanted to. But I'll be honest, I think that's a bit extreme. I really don't think there's a need for that myself. Can you use Ghost on this? Absolutely. No reason you can't at all. But for me, what I'm going to be doing is Crossfire on the back permanently. That's pretty much what I'll be doing. I'm even tempted to modify the Crossfire with an internal antenna. I'll be honest. I am half tempted to do a Crossfire with an internal antenna. The only downside to swapping out the 2 positions for 3s is you don't have the positions on the PCB. So the PCB is limited to 2 position switches, unfortunately. But what I don't know is what happens if you had it open. So, it must be open in 1 position. So you don't need much other than Crossfire unless you're Wes Vardy. Yeah, I just have a couple of aircraft with Crossfire still on. Be really nice to have a nice... But yeah, internal antenna would be nice and easy, just mounted in the top there. And then she's ready to go. So yeah, that is the Boxer. Again, I was blown away when it came in. And yeah, it's going to be a big seller, this. A big seller. And then we'll be fitting the HDzero. So for those who haven't seen, these are the HDzero. So these are the full CNC gimbals. This is the one I haven't opened yet. So that is the full CNC. With the CNC stick ends as well. So again, I'll be fitting these in the next week or so. But yeah, please install live. These are very nice indeed. But yeah, we'll be doing that. Actually, that doesn't need to go back in the bag. I'm looking forward to fitting them into the radio. But I wanted to sort of have a bit of a feel for it before fitting the gimbals, not rather than just running out and fitting it. And I'll be honest, the V4s that are on it are very, very good. Very, very good indeed. But yeah, this was always going to happen. It really, really was. Order the Boxer. I think the light rings work well. I don't know, but I'm going to be ordering them. They're not going to be as deep as they are on the TX16, sorry. They're not going to be, you know, the gimbals are not sunk down as much. And in the video I got coming out in the next couple of days, I actually talk about the depth of the gimbals on these as well. So the V4s are good. They are good. Much better than the previous gimbal. The V4s are pretty good. I think if you lube them up nicely, they're going to feel real nice. Real nice. I do like the strap. Yeah, if you want a plastic strap, I prefer not to have a plastic strap. I think that's better. I think the cloth strap is much better. I really do. You know if you'll need it. But yeah, I think that's good. Overall, it's a good radio. In what way are they better? The HDzero, the V4s are just easier to use and a bit smoother and less drift on the gimbal. The tolerances are better on the V4s. Now, I'll be honest, as I was saying earlier, I've just put the... Let me just put that there. I've just put the V2s in the Mambo, and these are fantastic. The V2 gimbals on the TBS Mambo are lovely. If they're greased properly, they are absolutely lovely. It is so smooth, it's crazy. I have got it just right. And they sound good as well. You can feel the center piece. Everything is just nice on it. I'm not convinced it's worth the upgrade for just going to the V2s. If you're going to do them, go the Pro. But yeah, the upgrade on them was really good. Really, really good indeed. But yeah, that's the poor Mambo. Will be going to the back of the cupboard. I still got the box for the Mambo. Oh, I do. So I've probably got to make a decision on the Mambo because there's just... How do you grease the gimbals? I ordered in TBS's grease. I have a video on the gimbal update for the Mambo on the channel, and I went through what we did, and I used the TBS grease kit. And I'll be using that grease kit on this radio as well when I do the HDzero 1 updates. The HDzero 1s come quite hard. They're really stiff. Mambo 2 when? Yeah. Can you run ELRS on the Mambo? Yes, in the module bay. Yes. You can always swap that out for a plastic hard handle. It's got 4 bolts. You can swap it. Yeah, I'll be using the thing, but I will be doing a full video on that upgrade when I'll be doing it as well. So that's the thing with that radio. Now, this week, there's been a lot going on in Avatar World before we come on to anything else. And I do have this. And the video for this is finished. It'll be going live, actually. And I will be showing you this a little bit. But that is the new Whoop Light kit, which is the Avatar one. And that is the new smaller board version, which is this one here. If I go to the overhead, I have a... Let me come in. Woohoo! There it is. So this is the new 30x30 board version of the VTX. Unfortunately, this one doesn't work anymore because I was using it on the bench and it burnt out. Now, I don't know exactly what caused it to burn out. I believe, and well, I say believe, what I'm leaning on, and I still don't know if it's true, is that my bench supply that was set to 4 volts over-voltaged on power up and blew the internal regulator, which is the system management IC, which is that IC down there. Now, I don't know if it is for sure. I've done a lot of testing on the supply I was using, and it's not showing any over voltage, yet it died, which is frustrating. I haven't heard back from Walksnail. I did pretty much do the bench testing that I wanted to do because I had it on for periods of time when I was doing some recording and stuff. But I do have a concern just how sensitive these VTXs are going to be for voltage. Someone has asked, can I fix? Yeah, I do know what is gone on it, which is the system management IC here. So if we just go to the microscope, because the microscope should actually be on. Is it? This, there it is. Just focus. There you go. So the IC that's failed is that dialogue system management IC. Sorry, let me just move the microphone. And that is the D. Let me just look at it. D90602. And it's shorted to ground, is what it is. So that is what has burnt out. Now, I know it's this, because let me just find something to show you guys. Let me just find it. Let me go on my network drive. If I just show you this, which is my thermal imaging of it when we power it up. So we'll see what will happen, and boom, you can see that that IC there gets super hot. And if I zoom in, you can see that that system management IC is just cooking, and it is shorted down to earth. Now, this is the amazing thing of using a thermal camera for board repair, because you can just diagnose instantly. And there you can see that she's got a crazy hot spot there. And she's basically shorted to ground. I did spin it over to the other side just to have a look on the other side of the PCB to see what was going on as well. Just to show you guys this. And when I power it up, you'll see in a minute that area there. There you go. So that's the other side of the board. And it's that whole area that's getting warm, which is the other side of that system management IC. There's not really a single component getting warm. It's just the board. But it is that IC there that is shorted to ground. Now, obviously, it's very hard for me to say it's the VTX's fault. I just don't know. My mistake potentially was powering it on and off with the bench supply. What I should have done is power the bench supply on and then connected it up once it was at settled voltage. So at this moment in time, I am leaning on I caused it. The voltage was set to 4 volt, not the maximum of 5. So it shouldn't have. Fixable or not? Yeah, I'd have to replace the system management IC. I can get them from China for about $5. So I'm going to order one in. The worry is, and I have said this on my Discord server already, I have seen 3 damaged avatar boards alongside this one, and all of them have that same system management IC down to earth. Which is a bit of a worry. And it's a multiple voltage regulator that provides all of the voltage output for the main IC and the RAM chip on the bottom. But it is what it is. Look, what I should have done is powered it up on a 1S pack, not via the bench supply. Complete that side of it's my fault. It is what it is. What I have to say, though, the overall image quality from this camera is very good. I'm really quite impressed at the image quality from the camera. MC Creations, unfortunately, those things happen. GMI, so Walksnail may be having the same issues as HDzero has. Look, the reality is this. If I just go to the overhead, on a VTX this small, there are many things that you can't change. Okay, so you have to have the main IC, you have to have the RAM, you have to have the MIPI interface, you have to have a bind button, and you have to have a few other things. Power amplifier, located here, voltage regulators. What you can cut back is very limited, and reality is you're left with cutting back areas of the power supply. Yeah, the DI9602 could take up to 5.5 volt. Yeah, it does have a little bit of headroom, but not for spikes. And look, you have to cut back power. That's the only areas you can. And that's really, I think, where the problems start to arise. We saw the same thing on HDzero. It was not unique to Avatar. I've got so many damaged HDzero Whoop boards here. It's crazy. They were delicate. This is potentially going to be the same as well. And yeah, overall, I think it's a very nice board. It's nice to see how small they can get it down. I think the issues just arise of just, how well it's able to hold up to a battering. The camera I'm really impressed with. I really am, and I show that in the video. There's no way to soft mount it? No. Yeah, and that's it. The biggest, there's only so much you can take off this board. Small TVS diode would help. 100% profit. There isn't one on here, as far as I can tell. A 5 volt. I think this should have a 5.2 volt TVS diode. Definitely should have a TVS diode. Any news about the VRX? Right. I don't have one yet. I am a little frustrated on this fact. Walksnail have very kindly offered to send me one to review, and I'm waiting for it to arrive. It was originally going to come with this, but they ended up having to delay it. My only real frustration is if I'd have known we'd have been behind the curve with user orders, I'd have just placed my own order on day one. I don't really care about getting it for free. It doesn't bother me. At £200, it really doesn't bother me. I would have just ordered it. I didn't because I was being told that we're going to be sent one as soon as they can. And now we're left in a position where users are getting their hands on it before the review samples. Sorry. So that is an annoyance to me personally. Walksnail Cadex don't have to do anything. What I should have done is put a day one order in when they made them available. And if I'd have put a day one order in when they were available, I'd have probably had my hands on it now. And that's really it. Yeah, and I do agree it's a good thing they're sending them to users first. That's not a bad thing. I just wish I'd been told. It's that simple. Now, it remains to be seen what the performance is like. There's still question marks over the latency. How high is it going to go? Could it be upwards of 60 milliseconds? It is very possible. We're going to have to see because remember, one frame at 60 frames a second is about 16 milliseconds, 16, 17 milliseconds. You're going to have caching in the frame buffer in the goggles. And we've also got to understand the synchronization issues that they may have as well. Exactly the same as HDzero had. So we want to see what it's like. It is bigger than you think. There is a video, I put it on my Discord, of someone showing it. I clicked the wrong button. The image quality he showed was not great. And the DVR recording is a bit weird. It's very small. Yeah, just so it didn't look great. I posted it on my Discord earlier. Yeah, let me just find it. Let me just find it on here. Let me, where did I put it? Avatar HD. There we go. Let's go to the desktop. So this gentleman here, who's called Nick Disi, D-I-S-I is the name of his channel. Just going to put it full screen now just so you can see it. So credit to Nick, and I'll put it in there. And he's showing it. It is a little larger than you think. So when you start, right, so there we go. So that's it on a set of what looks to be O4Xs, or one of the O4X style. So it is quite big. It looks quite a big panel when you know, it looks big when you look at it there. One of the complaints has been that they ship it with a straight HDMI cable, which I think is a bit annoyance. But the HDzero one will fit, which will be nice. And then he shows some footage. But it's all a bit weird. It's scaled weird. Colors look off to me. It doesn't look as crisp or as vibrant as Avatar usually does. And it could be just the way he's encoded it. Let's put it in 1080p. There we go. It looks a bit washed out to me. It doesn't usually... I know it was more washed out in recent firmware. But yeah, we need to understand just what it performs like. But it really isn't clear at this moment in time how well it's going to perform overall. There's a lot of potentials. So people are getting them. People have got them. Yeah, it doesn't look terrible. It's weird. I don't know what he's done with the footage. It just looks off. I tell you what it might be. I will say, I wonder if it's the whoop board, because this camera is a little bit more washed out than the standard one. I've just thought it might be this camera. It might be this one, because it is a little bit more washed out. Looks like the Sky Zone DVR. Yeah, it looks off. It looks off. So we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah, it's a nice. It's for a whoop camera. It looks a little like, but it's not quite as good as the other one. It's really close, but it's very, very close. Is the whoop camera the same as the mini one? I'll show you guys a quick sneak of the camera differences, okay? It's very close. It's very close. Let me find the bit I need to find in the video, and this is on the review video. Now you're going to be watching a bit of playback. Okay, so wait there. Now, so what you're watching here is just a bench test. So this is the standard nano camera, okay? Now remember, you're watching a screen playback of a screen, so it's not going to be perfect. But this is the nano camera. This is the HD1S, the light one. So you can see the field of view has changed, but it's wider field of view. So let me just go back again. But it is a little bit more washed out. So let's go back. There we go. So the nano camera. Then we'll just wait for it to switch. There you go. This is the HD Light 1S. And then I also show it up against the HDzero camera, which is HDzero there, just to give you an idea, because they're the only other person that makes a 1S system. And then that's the nanos and the other one side by side. It's very close, but the color is different. So that gives you an idea. So that just gives you an idea between them. Yeah, it's a little bit washed out on the coloring. A little bit. He explains how he recorded it. Other than the casing being plastic, I don't believe there's a lot of difference. First, obviously it's a different lens. Is it a different lens? Let's just go to the overhead. I bet you it's the same bloody lens. It's just the body, I think, that's different. I think it's just the body. It really is just the body. Yes, the same lens. Yeah, very, very similar. Very similar indeed. But it does look a little bit more washed out. It does look noticeably a little bit more washed out. But I do wonder if he was using that camera. Possibly. But yeah, so I've got a little bit. I've got no flight footage to show you on this because I can't. It's dead. I can put this camera on another quad, and that's probably what I'll end up doing a little bit later. I don't know if they're going to send me another one. It will be what it will be. Look, the review goes up. I'm opening the review and say, look, I like all of this. It's a bit shame it's died on me, but it's possibly my own fault. So that's all I can say. It could even be programming differences. Remember, whilst it might be the same lens, it's a different body, so the lens, it might not actually be the same lens. It's the same lens size, but it might not quite be the same lens because you can see a difference in the field of view between them as well. The sensor might actually be different. I don't know if it's a different sensor. There's clearly some slight differences. Overall, though, I think it looks really good for a Whoop. It really does. And just coming in at about 8 grams as well for the kit. So that's that. Right, guys, before I move over to the next thing, if you got any questions, please do put them in the chat. Hello, Wes. Subpar compared to the full size. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look the same. Let me just catch up on the chat. 2 seconds. Killing Fields, hello, my friend. I believe Mad has taken the crown when it comes to tech and the new releases. I feel most FPV reviewers have dropped the ball or quit. I appreciate that. Thank you. I have an interesting comment on that. I sort of think FPV has caught up to where I have always been at. In the sense of, look, I am a technical person. I always have been. And I do sort of think FPV has got dramatically more technical in the last few years. And I do think some people are struggling. I genuinely think there are some creators who are struggling to keep up. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think some are struggling to be able to keep on top of the technology. And it's not easy. I have a few unique abilities that I count myself very lucky to be able to do. And some of you saw that the other day. I was trying to talk about the new DJI system, and I tried to record it 6 times. Look, here's some truth. I don't script any of my content, okay? Nothing I do is scripted. You can tell that. If it was scripted, it would be better. I just don't have time to script it. So everything I do is it's all off the top of my head. And sometimes I just struggle to do it, and I did it live. I actually recorded it live because there are times where I can actually be slightly better under pressure than I am when I know I can just hit stop recording and do it again. And I just did it live. And look, I'm lucky I can retain the information on stuff like that. I've got and not everyone can. And I do think some of the creators are struggling to keep up. It's hard. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. I suppose what it's doing is pushing everyone to up their game. Is what this push of march of tech, this move forward. I think it's pushing people to up their game. And I don't blame anyone for struggling. I struggle with it. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I do think it has very much suited the more technical people in recent times. And look, I'm not going to hide the fact I have sort of built my channel around the gamer's nexus technical aspect in more recent years, because that is who I am. And look, and it's sort of the industry's come to me rather than me come to the industry. But I'll probably stand still and the industry will keep going. That's probably what will happen. If that makes sense. So, catching up on the chat before we take a look at something. Ryan, did I just see Ryan in the chat? Where is he? There he is. Let's see the goggles. We're going to have a look. Okay, so butter is on the way. Yeah, I haven't talked about butter yet. We have the new stuff from FPV WTF. I just haven't had a chance to dig into it. It's brilliant. If you don't know what it means, if you're on locked out firmware with Goggles 2, you can downgrade. You can root regardless now of whatever firmware you have. And that's the great thing with it. But there is a video needing to be done on it, and there will be very, very soon. Butter works great. Sorted 2 pairs of V2 goggles. Yeah, it just solves all of the problems now. You no longer have to worry about what firmware is on your goggles. V2s. So there is no longer a restriction. If you've got a set of V2s, which are on the newer firmware, 0015 or more, V2s only, or ear units on the new firmware where you can't root, just go and use butter. Everything is fine. Sorry, V2s, not O2s. It's just ready to go. It now means everything before Goggles 2 is rootable now, which means you can use all of the lovely extras. Now, whilst I'm talking about DJI 3 a minute, before we come on to the HDzero goggles, I should mention iNav. Now, if you don't know, and I need to just get to the right place, iNav GitHub. iNav OSD was not supported in the new O3 ear unit from DJI because of DJI have put in a very basic MSP DisplayPort implementation. Now, ArduPilot had a workaround for this because they basically had a compatibility mode already for Betaflight. They made that for the original system. However, some amazing guy, and I actually helped a little bit on this in the week with some testing, has added a basic compatibility mode for iNav 403, which now means you're going to be able to use iNav with O3 moving forward, and it's just been merged into Betaflight. Let me just find it. Where is the actual one for it? Is it closed? It might actually be closed. Have they closed the pull request already? There we go. So, on the pull requests, add Betaflight 4.3 restricted OSD implementation. And this has been put into iNav. It is in the daily builds, and it should make the next release, which then gives you iNav compatibility with O3 OSD, which is good to see as well. So it's like the compatibility mode for ArduPilot, and it's now in iNav. It wasn't Powell who did it himself. It was Momosaka is the amazing man who did it. And yeah, it doesn't mean you get full iNav OSD, because you don't. It is limited because it doesn't have the full font set, but it has enough. That is the limited font set that is available in the Betaflight MSP DisplayPort OSD, so it doesn't have everything you would have in iNav, but it does work. You can see there, that's actually my image there, upside down on the bench as always. And there's been a huge amount of talking, but basically, with O3, you now have some basic iNav support. It would be great if DJI added full iNav support, but at least now it works. So yeah, that works with Goggles 2 and Goggles V2 with the O3 ear unit. The Rover, we can have a look at the Rover at the end of the video. That's easy enough. So, it's time to talk about something a little bit special, and I've been very quiet on this on purpose because something arrived yesterday, and what arrived yesterday is something which feels like we've been talking about for years. It feels like we've waited so long for this, but actually we haven't. Actually, the timescales involved here are incredible, and that is the timescales from the initial discussion to the product happening. And to think that this company has never made a set of goggles before, it is incredible what they have been able to deliver. And let me just grab them for you. And that is these. The new HDzero goggle. Now, I'm going to go to the overhead a minute. Ooh, we need to zoom out. And I need to focus. Here we go. Wait for that camera to go. They are real. The camera will level up now. Give it a second when it wakes up. Come on, camera. There we go. They are real. They exist. This is full production. And I'll be honest, I am blown away. Just the very fact that this exists. They look amazing, right? I know some people complained about the boxy shape. They look absolutely amazing. I genuinely think they look fantastic. The grey is nice. It's a greeny grey on the bottom. It's really nice. You've got full IPD, full focus adjustment. And look, here we go. Let's just blow some of the nonsense and crap out of the corner that people have been saying. We have on these goggles head tracking. We have firmware update port for HDzero. Headphone combined with microphone port. HDMI out. HDMI in. DVR, which is H.265, and AV input. There is also an analog bay port, a proper power switch, 4 antenna ports, a rotary encoder, 1080p 90Hz displays, built-in audio recording, really nice menu system, and really good optics. Now, fitment-wise, and I don't want this to be a review because my review needs to come in a few weeks. I need a little bit of time to make sure I've got this right. The optics are just right. For me, and I have said fitment-wise for goggles, I can be up and down. They are virtually spot on. If I set the optics exactly right, I get a tiny amount of cut off in the corners. And what I mean by that is the tunneling on the optics is minimal. Really, really minimal. And I can just get it so I get the full 46 degrees field of view end-to-end clear. It's not quite as clear as, say, the DJI FPV goggles 1 and 2, but it is not remotely as out of focus as the goggles 2, the Orqas. I would say the optics are very, very close to the Skyzone 04Xs. That's how good the optics are. Or the Walksnail. Just, they're very close. The screens look fantastic. They look amazing. They are amazing. They have delivered just what everyone hoped they would be. Now, this isn't a review because I've got to talk a lot about stuff on these. They need testing. I need to push them through their paces. You can put an analog bay on the side. It is available. It is here in this box. You bolt it on. Ryan has shown this before as well. But there is an analog module bay, which you take this cover off the side of the goggles. You lift this plastic cover off. You then take the external bay. Pop that on there. And then there is a screw that you can put in to secure it. And then you put your analog module on that as well if you want to. That's if you want analog. That is available. But if you don't want analog, you don't need to buy it. It is an extra. Let me just pop the cover back on, and that is this. Do you know what is really cool, though, on these goggles? Is the rail system on the front. So the True RC antennas, which I'm waiting for be delivered, will use this rail system. And just look at this, right? This is freaking fantastic. So these are the 3D printed rails I've made already. Clip them on. And you can slide it left and right. So you'll mount your patch antennas onto these rails. And then they will just clip on the front of the goggles there, rather than have them hanging off the price on the side. Just really ingenious. Really is an ingenious system. I think it's just fantastic. It really is. Some people will like the shape. Some people won't. I think it's great. This rotary encoder is amazing, right? It is absolutely lovely. Let me just... It is so smooth. It's just perfect. No slop, no wobble. Push button in the middle, push button in the middle there as well. Proper power switch. This is the narrow faceplate. It comes with 2 faceplates. It comes with a wider one as well if you want it. I've put the narrow one on because it suits my face better. I did try both, and they were both close, but the narrow one is the better one for me. The goggles have 3 fans. One there, one there, one there. And what I will say is, right, okay, these goggles are not quiet. I think it's fair to say, and don't hold me to this, they might be one of the louder sets I've used. However, the fans on these are top notch. There is no whine at all. It is all the sound of air. It reminds me of server fans, actually. If anyone's used or been around servers, the fans, the higher quality ones, they don't have a whine to them. It's just the sound of air. But they are noisy, especially when they get up to full speed. It's like a jet. It sounds fantastic. It really does. But that would be slightly annoying. The DVR is H.265. Quality-wise, they're just perfect. They're just perfect. They really are. I'm really looking forward to putting some time on them. Now, this is an alpha. No, it's not an alpha. It is a beta release. So there are some things that are going to change ever so slightly on them. Some minor changes. But overall, I think the moldings look great. I know on Ryan's, he was talking about, you could see some of the molding marks. I can see very slight molding marks on the bottom. I get the same on the Sky Zones. It's nothing. I really don't think it's an issue. The fitment of the plastics is good. Absolutely fine. Yeah, and the menu is really nice. The menu system is really quite good on these goggles. I really like it. I think it looks good. It's Linux. It looks tidy. You have lots and lots of options. The OSD is okay. I got some things I think should be better. Yeah, and they've got proper anti-fog. The optics are really nice as well. So if I just go from above, the overhead, you can see the optics there too. Really nice. Have I flown them? No, I haven't. These arrived yesterday, and it's been chucking with rain since. They have only been bench tested at this moment in time. I'll be flying them when I get a chance this week when the weather turns. Unfortunately, the weather has turned here at the moment. Yeah, there's a shocking admission of the SD card being in a reasonable and easy to find spot underneath. So if we just check that, the SD card is there. in a ridiculously easy to get to place. Neoprene foam, yeah, I would say it's neoprene. I think it is. And it's Velcroed on, not self-adhesive. Velcro. So you can move it and adjust it. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. They are just amazing. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what we see with the new modes on HDzero. Can you download? No, there's no USB. You've got to take the SD card out. And do you know what something I'll say is fantastic? Just look at the strap HDzero have included. It is a proper beast. A proper beast of a strap. It is huge. Battery holder. Walksnail VRX module onto these goggles. Yeah, absolutely. You can fit the Sky 4X phone. Perfect. Very nice. Didn't know that. Very nice. Just to think that these didn't exist. And now they do. And again, they are just really great. Really great. And look, I need to review them fully. I need to fully test them, fully understand them, get used to them. There are some minor things that are going to change on the production model from these. So, for instance, the plastics are going to change slightly to painted rather than these be like a molded white. And there are some technical reasons why that's the case. But overall, you know, they really have smashed it out the park. They really have. You know that the strap on backwards is no part. Straps on backwards. You know that strap on backwards is no parts. I don't know what you mean on that one, Mad Manix. Yeah, no, these are white plastic, whereas the new ones will be painted rather than white plastic. Let's suspend our dreams for a while until we learn and field test them properly. But yeah, look, so far, zero complaints. You know, genuinely just nothing. Nothing at all. No complaints whatsoever. What is clear, and let me say this now, these are the most feature-rich FPV goggle that's available on the market today. They are most likely going to be the best analog goggle option, period, simply because of the deinterlacer that's been integrated. But in the end, you're going to have a set of goggles here which are high-end, have HDzero built in, HDMI out, 1080p, 90 hertz OLEDs. Just, there's nothing not to like. There really isn't. Yeah, the time, you know, and Ryan, it's easy to think we've been waiting on these forever. These have existed. These have gone from conception to existence in a shorter time than Orqa put metal boxes in a display cabinet. And I don't, you know, this isn't a review. You know, I will have to be critical about the bits I don't like. Overall, though, out the door, they're looking good. But there's so much to take into account because this is more than a goggle. This is the beginning of a system. This is the beginning. Have I confirmed that they go +6 to -6? I haven't fully tested it, but Sky soon does. Hence the question if Walksnail VRX module and analog bay can be hooked up at the same time. Yeah, technically, I don't see why not. It's going to be interesting to mount the module on this, the VRX module. We're going to need to make a bracket to clip on the front. So we're going to need, you're going to have to make like an angled bracket that's flat and angled to the front shape of the goggles, and then it'll just clip on, which is going to be just cool. You won't be needing to mount it off the fan. You'll be able to do it straight off there. DVR 30 or 60? I haven't checked, actually. Hz, 120. Right, no. These support 90 Hz in via HDMI. We're going to need Walksnail to add a 90 Hz option. That's how I understand it. Let me just show you something else to include with this as well, which I really love this too. These goggles, right, come with this lovely bag, right? And I say it's lovely. It's so soft inside. It's got like this fur lining for the goggles. It's really nice. And the goggles just softly sit inside in this nice bag that offers a nice amount of protection. And they just sit in there like that. Amazing. I just like it. I think it's really nice. A nice soft bag. And the packaging and everything is just fantastic. It really is. But this isn't a review. This is that just gives you a sneak peek of what's to come. We need a lot more testing. But the goggles are more than just a set of goggles. This is an ecosystem. This is now about... HDzero sort of been behind in the sense of the goggle element. You know, we had DJI with goggles, but no VRX module. HDzero was always very much relying on the module. And now we've got a goggle to go with it. And we had goggles before, but now we've got a proper goggle to go with it, you know. But yeah, really cool, really cool. I'm looking forward to putting them through their paces over the Christmas period. I just need an analog module. I haven't got a rapid fire or a... I need a rapid fire or a fusion module. And stock is like out everywhere. And they've gone up as well. Bloody gone up. Yeah, it's nice to see a goggle to make the system as one. You know, to make the system whole. Yeah, I might need to borrow your Fusion. Are you using it, Peppermint? Can I borrow your Fusion module? I'll pay the postage. Unless you want to sell it. Hi, I was wondering, if I put the ham file on the goggles too, does it have to stay on the SD card forever? If I format the SD card, will I lose the benefits? No. Once it's done, it's done. Don't worry about the file. H.265 transmission, not on HDzero. HDzero doesn't use H.264 or H.265 as I understand it. Or it might use H.264. The menu system looks good. I won't sneak peek that. I got to keep some stuff in it for the review. Again, literally, it came yesterday. Funny enough, like in the morning on my Discord channel, I sort of said, oh, the goggles will be here early next week. And then, like 20 minutes later, they arrived. H.265 on Avatar. AV1 transmission. AV1 would be cool. AV1 would be really cool. But yeah, and the packaging and everything, it's all just spot on. And they put spot gloss on the front of the box. I am a sucker for spot gloss. I'm not going to pretend. Even RadioMaster put spot gloss on the front of the box. Everyone's putting spot gloss on the front of their boxes now. I suppose they're only doing it to keep me happy. We've got HDzero goggles. I really wish I could have put in a pre-order and plan on getting a set for the second launch. Yeah, look, like everything, there are quirks today that won't be in the production models. And what I will be talking about in my review is what is related to the production model, okay? I have a set of the beta, is the right term. I've paid for them. They're not alone. They're not. I've gone in with it as well, and I'm going to feed back as well. And I was very privileged to be able to get myself a set, and I am massively grateful for that. And I put my money where my mouth was up front, straight away on that one, because I believe in the product and I believe in the company. Carl delivering the product was never in doubt. Carl was genuinely one of the nicest guys I have spoken to in FPV. The interview I did with him was just amazing. The second I knew I could put the money down, I just paid for them. I just did it. And I'm very privileged to be one of the people who is hopefully going to feed back. I'll share with him some thoughts, but what I'll be very clear on is I will be sharing with you the thoughts on the thing. Look, let's not beat around the bush. HDzero cannot look as good as 03. 03 has moved the bar in a crazy place now, okay? Ignore DJI FPV. 03 has just got up and walked it into another field. The bar is so high, but it's not about image quality. It's about a number of factors, not just image quality. Not just image quality. There are many, many factors to take into account. And I still fly HDzero. I like HDzero. It's got some real benefits. Real benefits. It really, really does. So, that's the goggles. A lot more to come in the future. And look, the chances are I'm going to the goggle review is more than a goggle review. I have to really it's going to have to be a complete redo of the system and understanding the whole thing. Both are valued the same to me. Yeah, it's what you want from a system. It's what you want from a system, Bobby. You know, 03 looks fantastic. There's no getting away from it. What DJI have done with 03 is just bonkers. It is that good. It really is that good. However, it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it suits everything. We know the latency numbers are up. We know it has its quirks. Yeah, thank you, Peppermint. I'll send you a message, mate, and we'll have a catch up. It's been a while, actually. I'm not going to Cardiff this week, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to pay the postage again. Sorry, I've just noticed one of my mics has shifted. Why have my mics... I've knocked... Just adjusting something. I've knocked all of my sliders on my Rode. Sorry, I don't know how I did that. So, that's the news this week. It's been an interesting week. Some things that are beginning to come to light, and I need to do a video on this for 03. I think there's in theory, I've got 303 videos left to do. I haven't actually reviewed the system, and I probably won't now. I'm not sure it needs a review. The image quality is great. We all know it. I'm not sure there's any point me reviewing it as such. There are two technical subjects I want to cover on 03. One of them is the sort of RF and arming behavior, and that's a bit behind because we're still learning. And then there's antennas. There's a lot of confusion out there on antennas, and I think we can talk on that too. And there is another video which is done for this week. I think it's interesting to see where 03 has ended up. You know, this whole arming behavior is clear. What is absolutely clear now is that the low power mode does not work the same as it did on the old system. And Wes tested for me. Wes Varty, the fantastic man that he is, did a test for me. Not really for me, but I just said, when you're doing your testing, can you do this specific test? And that was turning off all MSP, so it doesn't receive an arming command, and that means no OSD as well, unfortunately, but turning off low power mode to see how it performs. And the old system, basically, turning off low power mode was exactly the same as arming. Whereas with 03, it clearly isn't. The range was dramatically less with no MSP and no low power mode on than it was with arming and MSP controls. So we now know that low power mode on 03 does not behave like it did on the old system, and it does not give you full power output. The only way... Yeah, I can imagine that, Wes. It now must have an arming command to get the maximum output. We strongly believe it is dynamic in its power output. However, what we don't know is how it behaves and why and what the quirks are. I'm leaning on it using MCS data, or at least some of the range data, to kick the power up. You can't test it on the bench, but it is clearly pumping more out than I am seeing here, because on my testing, as I've shared before, it's about equivalent to 200 milliwatts on the bench. And it ain't flying that distance. Sorry, it's been a very long day. It ain't flying 23 kilometers on 200 milliwatts. We know that for a fact. Wes, here's an interesting question. Have you done a stock test without ham? Just wondering. Or was it just FCC without ham you did your testing with? I can't remember. No, I haven't. No, I'm just wondering. That's an interesting one now, is ham versus no ham, if you know what I mean, just to see what the difference is. TikTok. But yes, Wes is amazing. He's been doing some great videos. But yeah, we're learning more. I don't know if we will ever be able to observe the dynamic power behavior, but I am fairly confident, as in absolutely confident, it's doing it. We just don't know the circumstances. That's the interesting thing with it so far. So, that's it. Now, there was a super chat earlier that I seem to have missed. Was there? It says £4 in chat revenue. Where's that super chat? Have I missed one? If I have missed one, I apologise. Yeah, how come Varty isn't in blue? Yeah, I need to make Varty in blue. He should have been in blue years ago. He is definitely special. He hides things from me. Yeah, I just hit the switch. The real interesting thing, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that Wes is going to cover in his video. There's a lot of interesting stuff. When's it going live, Wes? Are you still doing testing? We're looking forward to yours. It'll be more nice, posh B-roll and like his shadows on one side of his face, and he'll be sitting in a nice corner with like a professional background, and you'll have B-roll that looks amazing, and then the A-roll will be just ambient mood lighting, and it'll just look great. Oh, thank you, what's up? Thank you for that. And the OGA unit with the new firmware. Are you seeing similar behavior? But yeah, we've had a lot to understand. Some goodies from Hugo. Yeah, I'm waiting for delivery from Hugo. I paid for it the other day. I ordered the HDzero antenna pack. That's coming for the goggles. If you haven't seen, I should put that up for the HDzero goggles. True RC. I think it's about $80 I paid, was it? True RC Canada. Desktop. He has antennas for the HDzero goggles. So if you scroll down here and you go for types, and we go HDzero, and he has a dedicated antenna set for the HDzero goggles. That's them there, which you can get for XA Mark II's pair, and I went for them with the combo stubbies. So we've got all four, and they'll come with the plastic brackets as well. And I think that was $85. and they should be heading into the UK as we speak, and these are directly for the HDzero goggles. And again, you're going to get just the best overall performance. Really are. Just catching down on the chat. Yeah, it's really good to see. Really good to see. Just the the HDzero. It's been a real week. Yeah, they are based in Canada. Correct. TrueRC is a Canadian company. Hugo's a great guy. Never spoke to him on the phone, but he's a great guy. Now I'm just trying to think what else I've seen this week. There has been a number of releases of frames for 03, and in fact, that's probably something I should highlight. If you're someone with an iFlight frame, let me just go to Facebook. iFlight have announced anyone who's bought one of their new V2 frames, they're going to send you, if you request them, new brackets, like mounts for the 03 air unit. Now, this is because the isolation for the 03 air unit isn't performing as well as they'd like. And as a result of this, they've decided, I'm just trying to find the post. There we go. So they've put Patrick's at iFlight have put up V2 bind and flies and frame kit upgrades. Since the 03 gyro logger is far more sensitive than expected and won't probably be fixed with the software update, we've decided to be proactive. New silicon inserts have been designed to replace the TPU ones, which they've included in the frames, which are holding the 03 camera inside the panels. There'll be a free coupon link for the silicon kits available on their website for every early order. Future V2 02 bind and flies and frame kits will by default come with the new silicon. So what they're saying is this is all of their 03 frame kits. Now, let me just grab my Nazgul. Just to show you this, because this drone, which they sent me here, is very, very good. Overhead. They've got these TPU inserts there. And what they're saying is they're not doing a good enough job of isolating the camera. And as such, they're going to be replacing them with a soft silicon one. So if you've ordered a frame, you'll just have to wait and see. If you get hard TPU ones, you know you've got the old one and just speak to them and then they will send you some new silicon ones. Now, this is largely because of the 03 camera has the IMU on it. It's a great aircraft. Look, there's always been talk of problems with the 03 camera. The Apex has that as well, and the vibrations are pretty bad. Yeah, I've not seen too many issues on this. It's been fairly good, but it's just how well it's really, built. This frame is fantastic. This is the Crossfire edition. And yeah, it's just, in my opinion, this is the ultimate 03 bind and fly. Overall, Chris Ross's versions are very, very good, but I think when you look at sort of the plastic casings down the side, this is a really fantastic, off-the-shelf, proper FPV quad. It just is. It just is. It really is very, very good indeed. It really is. And look, I've got the second part of this video. Unfortunately, I'm at the weather period now, where the rain is beginning to cause me problems. So it's just been wet or windy or frozen. But the Nazgul's a fantastic aircraft. I do need to put a video up showing as well how to get to the proper update settings files. You need to go through Betaflight. In fact, I'm going to do that now. So if there's any Nazgul users, I'm going to show you this because you need to... It's recommended that you update to the latest settings file for this aircraft. And to do this, you need to be in Betaflight. So, Flight. Let me just get Beta Flight open and connect up a flight controller, because for those who haven't seen, this is quite important. Let me just get this in place. Let me grab the aircraft. Now I'm going to record this as a standalone bit because I need to put this up on the channel, and I may as well show you guys now. Now, if you are an owner of one of the new iFlight frames or their drones, especially something such as this, the Nazgul, which is the newest 03 version, iFlight have updated PID files and settings files available for it via Betaflight. Now, you can't download these directly from the Betaflight website. What you have to do is actually do them via the configurator. What I mean is not download them from iFlight or Betaflight. You actually do it via the Betaflight configurator itself. Now, to do this, what you need to do is hook your aircraft up to Betaflight via the USB port. If I hop over to the desktop, then you will need to go down into the presets tab. In the top corner, you will need to click on preset sources. And under here, you will need to add a new source. This source needs to have the following data. So if I just click on that there, you can see that we have a title of new custom preset source. You have the URL address, which I've got in there, which I'll put in the comment section. And then you've got the GitHub branch, which is iFlight Factory. When you've done this, that will then add the iFlight preset source to Betaflight. You can then click under here and select bind and fly. And what you're looking for is the Nazgul F5V2 RC1. That is for the aircraft that I have got there. And that will be the very latest settings file for the Nazgul that I've got. So again, Nazgul F5V2 RC1. And that will do the evoke that I've got there with the very latest settings. If you've got one of the other ones, so you've got the F6V2 RC1, that's available there as well. And this will give you the best possible version, and this is the factory dump version, which is from the 2nd of November 2022, and this is for the Blitz version with the BMI 270 flight controller with the BMI 270 gyro. It's important that you do have the latest settings file. When you do it, though, it is worth taking into account that you may lose some of the configuration. It does ask you what configuration options you want. So you can set down here what type of receiver you've got, whether you've got the DJI HD VTX, and then you've got all of the other setting options available on there too. But it is advised that you do this before flying your aircraft, especially if you've just got it out of the box. If you get it from iFlight today, it's probably been okay, but if you've got one of the early ones, you do want to check that out. So if you have got one, you do want to get this. I don't do it too often, but I do need to record it. I may just re-record it anyway. What's a dead cat like in a 100-mile-an-hour dive? Usually flat by the end of it. Yes, don't forget the Crossfire preset too from Ivan. Yeah, you want to basically do the iFlight preset, and then I'll probably just re-record it as a proper video. Presets are good. They're just a bit awkward to get to. The preset sources is a bit... iFlight need to tidy up their preset sources. HDzero or Avatar. I assume DJI VRX still doesn't exist. No, under that preset, there is one for DJI, which works with this one. But I can't remember, did I have to manually set up MSP DisplayPort? If you're unsure, choose the HDzero, and that will definitely set up MSP DisplayPort. Oh, I meant when buying a VRX. Let me just read. Given the options of VRX, which one would you go for? HDzero Avatar. Yeah, the DJI VRX doesn't exist. It's what you want. It's really down to what you want. That's a hard choice now. Choosing between HDzero and Avatar is the same between choosing between HDzero and DJI. it's latency versus image quality. Avatar's image quality has improved dramatically. I haven't flown it for a little bit. I need to do... Funny enough, I haven't actually updated all of my Avatar firmware because I've been tied up with 03. If you race, then it's HDzero. Without doubt. Without doubt. Absolutely. Without doubt. Ian's off-the-cuff instructionals are better than many people's scripted. I appreciate that, AV. Yeah, I'm not 100% happy with that. I'll probably do it again proper and explain things. Anything's easy when you know how, isn't it? That's life. That is life, isn't it? It really is. Right, guys, we're going to give it a few more minutes. I'm going to cut tonight once more because I'm really tired tonight. I am knackered. It's been a long week. If you've got any questions before I go, please do put them in the chat section. There's been 56 likes. Please do consider giving it a like if you're still here. Mad262 for the Hero 11 Mini with a 1-year subscription. That's all right. There's loads of problems, though. People are having them turning off left, right, and center, crashing. Have they fixed it yet? Oh, Mike Bergman wants me to put the Rover up. Let me grab the Rover. 57 likes. Let me grab the Rover before we finish. Buried in the corner. It needs some work. So, here is the beast. Now, this is an ArduRover based rover based on a chassis by Servo City, I think it was off the top of my head. Let me just move the Boxer a minute because I don't want to have it fall over. This is a full ArduRover based unit. Full radio control spotlight on the top, full power, GPS with here. This is also running HearLink, so it will have a camera here. It's taken off at the moment, but it takes a camera there. Let me just go to the overhead. This thing will literally crawl up and almost over anything. The tires are so sticky, it's crazy. Now, this is a full... No, it doesn't have encoders. This was a bit earlier than Quadra encoders. Yeah, it doesn't have speed feedback. It has... Let me take that screw out. At the moment, it's only got one screw. Full 3D printed custom top end that I made. I love that finish from the Prusa when I made that. I built this top end myself because I didn't have a top for the shell for it. So it's a custom mount battery box under the light. So let me just change the screwdriver. So this is a custom mount battery box. In here, you find the LED power cable that goes to that for controlling the big searchlight that goes on the top. That's the battery input, and then there's a remote USB. Is there a way to toggle off analog OSD through radio switches? Yes, Jason, some flight controllers offer it. And then this is held on with straps. There's strap holes that go through the bottom that holds that on. We've got the GPS in the middle. Let me just undo that screw. And then inside this hinged cover, we have a Cube Black located there. One of the original Cube Blacks, in fact, labeled Pixel 2.1. You can see it there. We've got Bex. We've got the motor controller. We've got... down in there, the HearLink unit as well. And then you've got the motors located either side here. And yeah, she's a beast. An absolute beast. I did have a LiDAR on this at one point as well. I borrowed a LiDAR. I had to send it back because it was very, very expensive. And then I built this top cover that it clips in at the back. It's 3D printed and clips in at the back. And then the cover actually screws down in place at the front. There is actually some other screws that go in there and there. There is videos of this on the channel with the LiDAR. Let me show you. So that's the Rover. For those who haven't seen, there is videos of this. They're the tires that came with it. I don't know what they are. They came with the Rover kit that I ordered. I do have, because I had a LiDAR on this. Let me show you the LiDAR video. The LiDAR video is cool. ArduRover LiDAR. There we go. There's my own video. And I actually show you this. This is actually less than a year ago I did this. Wow, it's been a while. I show you setting it up. Now this shows you the LiDAR in the room. So for those who haven't seen, this is the LiDAR module that we had fitted on it. Here, let me just get full screen. So this is actually the LiDAR that mounted on the top. And then what we did was set the LiDAR up, and this was it actually in here scanning the room. And if we then get to outside, we takes it for a spin. You can see the LiDAR in ArduPilot there, and then here, right? Here's the Rover, look, with the LiDAR running on the top. This was a test setup. I was using Hearlink, no camera on board at this moment in time. But what the LiDAR allowed it to do was object sensing and object avoidance. So avoid me as I stepped in the way, and it would actually move away from me in use. So the way it would work was it would scan the area around it, and I think it's got 270 degrees of LiDAR. And then what I has the ability to do was actually arm it, and it would actually walk away from me. Look, as I'm walking towards it, it's moving away. It's gone behind me now. You can't quite see because I'm in the way. Let me just turn my camera off. And you could see then that it actually backed up away from me. And then if I drove it towards myself, it would then detect me and stop. And you can set it up with things like bendy ruler, where it would actually automatically avoid. But then you could see, like, I moved out the way and it was fine. And then if I stepped in front of it, it would pick me up and then move away automatically and back itself up to keep the same distance, which I think it was set at 2 meters at this point. And then if I walk towards it, it would then say, no, 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 I don't like this, and then move away and move further back. And yeah, very, very clever pieces of kit in ArduRover. And again, what I could do was start moving around it, look, walking behind it, and then it would move itself forward. So if I started walking towards it at the side, it would start moving. So as I moved, it would move with me as well, because it's picking me up and saying, no, 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 I don't want to be that close to you. And it starts moving away. So yeah, really cool. Really cool stuff. I haven't had a lot of time this year to be playing with this. There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to be playing with this in the last period. Yeah, this summer I did the live. Need to get a Pixel system. Really, really good pieces of kit. Really good pieces of kit. How's the new avatar firmware in the UK? Any disadvantages? Pavo, no problems at all. Nothing to worry about. LiDAR now. Yeah, to be honest, look, those LiDARs are down to like 200-300 quid now. They're not crazy money. What a lot of like the robot vacuums do is they use IR. So they use an IR sensor and ping. They're able to do it in a different way. But yeah, really good. She needs to go a wandering again. I always wanted to build. We've got some sort of ArduPilot content planned in over Christmas and January. Actually, there's going to be some QPilot stuff which I just have been a bit slow to get on top of because FPV's been crazy. But also we've got a full build from Hollybro. Or Holybro. We have some interesting gear from them to look at. Some real interesting gear. Better than the Mambo. Absolutely. Dom Rider FPV. It's great. I haven't had as much stick time as I would have liked, but it's a great radio. The Boxer is fantastic. There she is. To put it back in view. It's been a very good week. The Boxer and HDzero goggles. What more do you want? Ooh, right there. So, having issues with an Evoke version 2 while using new goggles. I get unrecognizable ear unit goggles RC error. How would I fix it? That's weird. So, have you updated the ear unit and the goggles too to the latest firmware? That would be the first thing I would say. Make sure you update it. Goggles, yes. Ear unit, no. Just double check the ear unit is on the latest firmware. It should be on version 1.0, but you never know. You never know. If not, if it is, I would rebind. That's a strange set of errors. I've not seen those errors before. There's a strange error happening on Facebook as well. By the way, do you recommend crossfire in 50 or 150 hertz? Depends how far you want to go. 50 will get you more range. I have no RC strength. It's odd. That's weird. Have you updated the remote as well? You will need to definitely update the remote. On Express ELRS, by the way. Weird. Make sure everything's updated. No RC strength. Remember, though, you've got to configure the telemetry data for the Express ELRS to come through. So you want to be setting LQ and all of that usual nonsense. I found the game, Lewis, if anyone wants Tetris on their Zorro. That's cool. That's cool. I could share the ones that come on this. It's not a problem. I don't know what RadioMaster would think about that, but I don't see a problem. Cool. Right, guys. I am going to call it a night. I want to say a massive thank you for everyone spending the night with me tonight. It's been a crazy week. We are on the walk up to Christmas. There will be no live stream next Sunday night for obvious reasons. However, I'm probably going to put one in the end of this week. A bit of a loose one, okay? Probably Friday night. I might put in just a stream just to, you know, it won't be a proper weekly stream like I do where we go over stuff. I might just put a bit of a relaxing one in with a beer, and you will all be welcome to come along. What RC Link preset should I choose if flying an old RC Link like FL Sky or FR Sky? I would just leave it standard. I wouldn't worry about a preset in that situation. Thanks, Mike. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Mike. I might have my Walksnail VRX by then. Yeah, you never know. So anyway, that's it from me, guys. Stay safe. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I will speak to you soon. Right, let me hit button 1 and then button 2.